Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host Scotty McCoy, and I have another alumni from Friday the 13th on the phone. I have David Kagan, and he played Sheriff Mike Garris in Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Hi David, how you doing?
Hi. Good to talk to you.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for your time. So I have about 10 questions or so. The first question I got is, how did you get your start into acting?
How did I get started in acting?
Yes.
Um, well, actually, my father did a lot of amateur theater, community theater, and so far back as I can remember, I would go and watch him rehearse, and he did all these plays were really terrific plays, and he did a little bit professional work, but I just fell in love with it, and that was kind of part of the culture I grew up in my home, watching great plays and on television or going to plays. So I just was always part of my life,
Awesome.
and my family loved to perform for one another. That is, to make each other laugh, to entertain one another, whatever. And so there was a little competition to see who could be the cleverest, most entertaining, that kind of thing.
That's awesome. So what was your audition like for Friday the 13th Part 6?
Hmm. Well, uh, it was good. In fact, it's kind of a funny. I mean, first of all, um, the lead the girl who played my daughter,
Hmm.
had studied acting with me.
Oh, okay.
She had been a major, I believe, a soap star, and but I didn't know she was anything part of this at all. And there were several of us auditioning, but we were reading with her.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I just was. I took a lot of risks. I just really invested myself, and but it did make it a little easier, I think, for me because I knew her and she knew me.
Right.
Um, it's kind of funny because when I got home, I was home for just a little while, and I got this call from my agent, and my agent said, "So, how'd it go?" And I said, "Well, I felt like it went pretty well. I don't know. We'll see." And there was this pause, and he said, "Well, you got the job." I nearly fell over. It's a film, I mean, albeit it's a lower budget film, but it's a film,
Right.
and to hear that quickly is
Yes.
unbelievable.
That's awesome.
So that was. So I guess it went as well as I thought.
That is great. That is awesome. And you did an amazing job in the film. I
Oh,
like you.
thanks.
No problem. Your acting was just on point from the comedy aspects of it to the serious part of the movie. Like everything was just amazing. So,
Yeah.
do you want to tell us the story about CJ when you were bashing his head in with the
Oh,
rock?
it's just a funny thing. Those rocks that I'm beating, hitting him on the head with
Hmm.
that rock it was made of styrofoam. So I'm not going to hurt him.
Right.
But I have to make it like it's heavy, and I have to make it like I'm hitting him, and
Right.
really bashing his head. And so in one take, there weren't that many takes. We had there's a fan going, making wind, and all this stuff. And I guess at a certain point, the rock is, I guess it's right when CJ grabs me and pushes me away and takes charge. I of course, dropped the rock, and the rock, because of the fans, was blown across the frame
Right.
that was being filmed. You saw the rock blowing by. Because it's
Wow.
made of styrofoam, it's not a real rock. And of course, I had to call cut and say, "What?" And I said, "What happened?" He said, "Oh, the rock just blew by." So it's just kind of comical,
That's
whatever.
hilarious. So how
One of
was
those
your
movie things.
how was your death scene filmed and prepped?
I'm sorry.
How
Say
was your
again.
death scene filmed and prepped?
How was that prepped? You mean
Yeah,
how was
like
it
how did
done?
they do the whole back
Well,
cracking thing?
I had to do a lot of yoga,
Right.
and I know nobody believes me. No, I hate to tell the trick of how it was done, but I guess after all this time, it's okay. There was a second person lying down. So they dug a pole, so that was up to my waist, and then I straddled this guy. I was standing in the hole, and there was a guy lying down with his legs behind me that you couldn't, you know. So, well, I guess you could see it, but it looked like, okay, CJ is, you know, Jason's taking charge, but then so I was able to just, he's bending me back, and I'm able to just sort of lie down, you know, and then they had their, I don't know, their celery or whatever that they had, but they make the sound effect of the back breaking, of bones breaking.
Nice.
So it was a kind of a clever gag. You know, there are different versions of the movie. With some of them, they do not show the entire thing.
Oh, okay, interesting. And
did you know that?
No, I didn't know that actually. I just got the Blu-ray.
They don't show. In other words, suddenly it's like quick motion. You're he's lifting me up, and then suddenly I'm bent totally in half. And then others, and they show the whole thing. You know.
Nice.
And of course, that's much more intense for somebody to watch.
Nice.
That's one of the funny things about getting autographs, because I had some very young people, or people who had been very young when they, and I would, you know, I'm interested, so I would say, you know, how old were you when they saw it? Oh, I was 5. I said, you were 5? Mm-hmm. How did they let you do that? He said, oh, they didn't know. My brother was watching with his friends, and I snuck in and watched it, kind of thing. You know, it's very, the range and age of the fans is remarkable.
I first saw it when I was about 8 years old, when VHS tapes were relevant. I was pretty young as well. God. Yep. Yeah, but
it wasn't too intense. What did you think?
I loved it. The first movie I saw was Friday the 13th Part 7 at like 4 or 5 years old, and then I just watched them all from the beginning. And over the years, I watched like 1, 2, 3 all the way up through, like, I think like the most recent at the time was like maybe Jason Goes to Hell or something like that. I don't even think Jason X was out yet. But yeah, I've been watching since I was about 4 or 5 years old. I was really, really young. Yep.
No nightmares?
I did, and I mean, as I was growing up, I would have I had to go to fear therapy when I grew up, and then I got back into horror movies, and now I'm like I'm interviewing all these cast and crew from horror franchises, and I own my own horror production company, and we just made our first horror comedy film.
Oh, God.
So yeah, like it was a path. It was a path.
I know you're interviewing me, but what was the attraction?
I think Part 6 is my most favorite out of the franchise. It's just cleverly written. Your character comes off as... The last question I got for you is a two-parter, actually. It's more about you. Do you have any projects that you would like to promote to our listeners? And where can our listeners find you if they want to see what you are up to in the future?
Well, I'm not pursuing any work, and it's a kind of business where I think if you don't pursue it, it's pretty unlikely that. So I don't have anything. I mean, I just sort of, if somebody called me and said they wanted me to do something, I'd certainly be interested in listening and all of that. But so I did some independent films up until I don't know, maybe 6 years ago or something like that, and did some fun stuff. But yeah, I don't have anything to promote, but who knows?
Do you have like a website or anything, or any social media that people can reach out to you at?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I just I'm doing a lot of other things in my life now.
Right.
That aren't related to that. Okay. So, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But it's a good life. I got a good. I do have a terrific life, and I have had a lot of fun along the way.
And that's great. And I mean, you have that iconic role of the sheriff in Friday the 13th Part 6, who has probably one of the best death scenes in the franchise. So that's something to be proud about.
Wow, that's great. I know people. I get people especially if I go to a convention or
Yep.
so once in a while somebody tries to email me, but and they'll say that they'll talk about it. I'm surprised after all this time, but
Yep.
well, that's
Yep.
nice.
Yes, exactly. Well, I thank you for your time, David. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here.
Thank you so much.
Good luck, and
thank you.
Really, I appreciate all the fans that
Awesome.
that appreciate what I did and what we did and what Tom wrote. Because Tom, without the script, there's nothing. And,
Exactly.
And Tom McLaughlin had a really fun sense of humor.
He definitely did. Well, I thank you, David, and you stay safe.
All right. You too.
All right,
Take care.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.